One high-NA EUV machine Intel is using to make advanced chips costs roughly $400 million. In the second quarter of 2026, Intel Foundry's entire outside customer business brought in just $293 million. Now, Tesla is building Terafab to control more of its own chip supply. It still relies on TSMC and Samsung, and Tesla is Intel's only publicly confirmed outside customer for 14A. So why is a company building its own chip factory adding Intel to the plan? Who needs whom more? By the end, the answer comes down to three conditions. Only one of them is whether Intel can actually make a competitive chip. Start with what Tesla has actually agreed to. Tesla has confirmed that it plans to use Intel's 14A process, and Intel has confirmed that it is working with Tesla, SpaceX, and xAI around the Terafab effort. But neither company has publicly explained the most important part. Will Intel manufacture the chips inside an Intel fab? Will Tesla use Intel process technology inside Terafab? Will Intel provide packaging or process support? Or will the relationship combine several of those roles? There are no disclosed Tesla volumes, financial terms, or production schedule for 14A. That uncertainty is not a side note. It is the financial story. Tesla and SpaceX have announced $16.8 billion to begin Terafab, and the full project has been described at more than 100 million square feet, more than 5 times the size of the world's current largest building. Yet Tesla is not abandoning outside manufacturers. Its AI5 roadmap still uses TSMC. Its AI6 agreement points to Samsung. And its longer-term roadmap now includes Intel 14A. Those are not necessarily contradictory decisions because the clocks are different. TSMC and Samsung can supply chips before Terafab reaches meaningful production. Intel can offer another technology and capacity path. Terafab gives Tesla a longer-term option to own more manufacturing itself. Tesla is not choosing one source. It is reducing the chance that one source becomes the bottleneck. For Intel, the problem is almost the reverse. It needs customers badly enough that its CEO has warned Intel could exit advanced node manufacturing if outside demand does not materialize. That would have sounded extraordinary a decade ago. Intel once led advanced semiconductor manufacturing. Then its process roadmap slipped, its 10-nanometer transition was delayed for years, and TSMC moved ahead. Intel eventually began outsourcing important parts of its own product lineup to the same foundry ecosystem it was trying to compete against. Now, Intel is asking outside companies to trust it as a manufacturer. That means companies designing chips that may compete with Intel products have to believe Intel can also be a neutral supplier, and the gap Intel is trying to close is enormous. TSMC controls roughly 70% of the global foundry market. One recent estimate put Intel at roughly 0.4%. TSMC generated about $35.9 billion of revenue in the first quarter of 2026. For scale, Intel's entire company generated about $13.6 billion in that same quarter. Intel is not just rebuilding process technology. It is trying to rebuild a customer ecosystem, and that distinction matters. TSMC already has major customers designing their next chips around its future nodes. Those customers help give TSMC confidence that new capacity will have buyers when it arrives. Intel is trying to solve both problems at once. It has to make the process competitive while convincing enough outside customers to design around it before the factories are fully utilized. A good node without customers can still become expensive empty capacity. But Intel does have one unusual technical advantage. It was ASML's first customer for High-NA EUV, and in 2026, Intel became the first chip maker to ship a high-volume logic product using the technology. That brings us back to the machine from the opening. A single High-NA EUV system costs roughly $380 to $400 million. That machine still has to be paid for, whether a fab is full or half empty. The depreciation keeps running. The clean room keeps running. The engineers still get paid. That is why utilization can decide whether a leading-edge fab becomes an advantage or a financial burden. Intel's CFO has said Foundry needs only a few $1 billion of additional external revenue to reach break-even in 2027. A small number of genuinely large customers could therefore change the economics. Tesla could be one of them. But a named customer is not the same thing as a full fab. Intel still needs interest to become contracts. Contracts have to become chip designs. Those designs have to reach tape-out. Then the wafers have to work at useful yield and move through the factory in enough volume to keep expensive tools busy. That is the first clock. Intel is spending now. Customer volume arrives later. Intel expects capital expenditures of more than $20 billion in 2026, and it says spending in 2027 will be significantly higher. Adjusted free cash flow was negative $8.4 billion in the first half of 2026. Then, in August, Intel announced a $15 billion stock sale. At the same time, Intel Foundry lost about $2.1 billion in the second quarter. This is a turnaround consuming enormous capital before the outside customer model has been proven. And the capital story gets stranger. The United States government owns roughly 10% of Intel. NVIDIA invested $5 billion for roughly 4%. SoftBank invested another $2 billion. So Intel is being funded by its own government, one of its biggest AI rivals, and outside investors while trying to become a trusted neutral manufacturer. But owning Intel stock does not fill Intel fabs. NVIDIA's investment did not make NVIDIA a confirmed Intel Foundry customer. Government support does not create commercial wafer demand. The factories still need buyers. One project shows what happens when those buyers and the factories arrive on different schedules. Ohio. Intel announced 2 massive Ohio fabs during the post-pandemic chip shortage. The $28 billion project was originally aimed at 2025. The 2 fab modules are now expected to become operational around 2031 and 2032. The concrete kept moving forward. The market around it changed. That is the second clock. Intel is building on a timeline measured in years while chip technology moves generation by generation. Intel says 14A is targeting risk production in the second half of 2027 and high-volume manufacturing in 2028. TSMC is targeting its own A14 generation around the same period. So Intel is not racing the TSMC that exists today. It is racing the TSMC that will exist when 14A is ready, and winning customers will not matter if the wafers do not work. Intel says 18A yields are ahead of its internal targets and output has been improving. Third-party yield estimates vary too widely to treat 1% as settled. But the economics are simple. Poor yield wastes wafer capacity. Low utilization wastes factory capacity. Intel has to solve both. The process must produce enough good chips, and enough customers must buy enough of them. Intel can solve those 2 problems and still face one more test: trust. Fortinet is a real outside foundry win, but it is using the older Intel 4 process. Other major companies have been linked to Intel manufacturing programs. Tesla remains the only publicly confirmed outside customer for 14A. So 14A still has to become a place companies are willing to put their most valuable designs. That is why Tesla matters beyond whatever its eventual volume turns out to be. Tesla already has access to TSMC. It already has a multi-billion-dollar Samsung agreement, and it is building Terafab. That makes Tesla unusually valuable as a proof point because Tesla does not appear to need Intel as its only path to advanced chips. A customer with no alternative proves less. A customer with several credible alternatives choosing Intel anyway is a stronger signal. If Tesla commits meaningful production to 14A, the decision tells the rest of the market something. Intel was worth adding even when other options existed. That is validation, and validation can help bring the next customer. Now flip it. If 14A slips, Intel loses time. If yields disappoint, it loses usable capacity. If Tesla's volume stays small, utilization stays harder to fix. And if the largest outside customers remain with TSMC, Intel keeps the fixed costs without building the customer base it needs. Billions of dollars of factories can still become underused factories. That is the bet. Reduce it to 3 conditions. Condition 1, 14. A works competitively and on time. Intel has to reach useful yield and performance before the technology target moves again. Condition 2. Outside customers commit real volume. Tesla cannot remain only a powerful name attached to 14A. It has to become meaningful wafers, alongside enough other customers to keep utilization high. Condition 3. Intel reaches competitive economics before the second clock wins. The fabs, customer designs, and process ramp have to arrive before the next technology generation, or a change in AI demand makes today's investment less valuable. If those three conditions hold, Tesla does not need to save Intel. It only needs to prove Intel is worth considering. Then another customer can help fill the fab. And another after that. If they fail, Intel can spend more than $20 billion a year and still own capacity that customers do not need. That is why the most important number in the Tesla-Intel story is not Terafab's $16.8 billion. And it is not Intel's $15 billion stock sale, it is $293 million. That is how much outside customers paid Intel Foundry in the second quarter. Intel is trying to turn that into billions. Tesla may be the first proof point. The harder question is whether anyone follows.